is being fat a choice? Fit woman versus fat woman.
If you see me, you
What's her
consider
range?
me obese?
I wouldn't say that you're obese, but
Okay.
it's like medically,
So,
you know.
so like for
So
example,
you're medically obese though?
No,
Yes.
I've been medically obese since I was like 12, and I was not obese.
Welcome back to Middle Ground. I'm John. I host the Radical Empathy podcast, and I'll be moderating today's discussion between fit women and fat women. And a friendly reminder, if you are writing a hate comment, you are part of the problem. Our first prompt is, your physique is in your control. Will the agreeers please step forward?
Do you feel like you can control your physique? I feel like it's also different for a guy, because with guys, you're able to put on muscle better. You're able to lose muscle better. You're able to change the way your body looks a little bit easier. I won't lie. I think to a certain extent it's in your control. And that may be a hot take. But yeah.
She has a question.
I have a question. When you mean physique, can you specify like what exactly are you trying to?
I think physique is like the shape and size of your body. Why were you hesitating?
Because, you know, there's a lot of different illnesses around. So I have family members that have like thyroids and they can't gain weight or they can't lose weight. But I think that they can manage to stay at a place that's gonna be healthy for them. To me, personally, I do feel like I can be at a better place. I'm working on it, and that's my goal. So.
Hell yeah, honestly. That's fucking sick. It's a good mentality. Like, I feel like no matter if you are fit or fat, and I will say this in the most respectful way possible. When I say you're fat, you have fat on your body. It's not me trying to be disrespectful to you by any means. I'm just saying, if you do have fat, if somebody calls you fat, I don't think that should necessarily be a bad thing. Sound like a dickhead? I agree completely. It's so annoying. See, that's my one thing. Totally understand. If you want to be, you know, if you're happy with your body, that's great, you know. But if you complain about it and then you don't do anything to change it, I think that's kind of when it becomes a problem. For me personally.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that definitely people have ailments, there's different diseases and all that, but I think at the end of the day, what you can do, the best physical peak for your personal body is in your hands. You may not look like someone you want to look like, your ideal situation, but you can optimize your body to be the highest performance that you think.
And here's the thing, I will say this too, there's people who are, like, they look fit, right? Like, but you're not healthy. You know, there's two sides to it, right? You can look very fit, and I think this is more from a guy side of things, but like, as a guy, you could be really ripped and jacked, but you're not healthy by any means because you're blasting a shit ton of steroids. You're fucking drinking caffeine every day like I am. Like, technically, I shouldn't talk about health that much because realistically, I'm downing a shit ton of caffeine in a day, right?
You can get to.
When I first started working out, I lost 60 pounds, and that included just counting calories. I didn't have to work out as hard. I did the treadmill. I went at an incline, and I just walked the whole time, watching a movie and just walked. I just made healthier choices, and I've been mindful about what I put inside my body.
But
Like, you put in that effort, right? You made those conscious.
Here's the thing. I will say this. Yes. Okay, you may go on the treadmill. You may be walking, losing calories, eating right. But at the end of the day, it doesn't, if you're trying to lose weight, and I'd say fat in specific, which if you're trying to look a certain way, you're obviously going to want to cut weight. If you're trying to cut weight, you may eat healthy, right? Like, I eat healthy, but I gain weight because I'm in a calorie surplus. If you are trying to lose weight, lose fat, you can eat really healthy, but what it comes down to is being in a calorie deficit.
To walk on the treadmill, count your calories. You were super exact with everything, and that's how both of you guys were able to lose so much weight, right? So your physique is 100% in your control. It's just that nobody wants to put the effort in.
Just so we can invite the disagreeers, that's a great point to bring in our disagreeers. Whoever wants to pick up where we just left off.
So while of course there are aspects that I think you can control about your physique, I think there are more things that are out of your control. Like, it is so much more expensive to eat healthy than it is to eat like crap. If I go to the
I won't say that. I wouldn't say that. If I'm gonna be so honest, I would say it's more expensive to eat like shit. A pound of ground beef, that is $6. And then I pick up lettuce, that can be used for multiple meals, cheese, that can be used for multiple meals, a pack of Quest chips, and it is so much cheaper to go to the grocery store and buy healthier shit because inflation is fucked. And McDonald's, like, literally for me, when I go to McDonald's, I eat a fuck ton, right?
store and I just want to buy a bunch of frozen meals, that's going to be so much cheaper than me going and buying fresh produce and fresh fruit and everything.
I disagree.
I disagree too.
Why do you disagree?
The prepackaged foods, the frozen ones, way more expensive. I've been on a budget, you know, eternally. I always save money by just going to the grocery store and buying ingredients.
I agree with you on that, but I can go get a frozen meal sometimes for $1.50, $2, where if I want to cook a whole meal, like depending on what all the ingredients I'm getting, that could be $10.
Well, you'll get more.
Who have like no money and they're thinking like, oh, I can get.
I've had no money. I've had $12 for a week's amount of food.
I hear both. I think that you definitely, in the short term,
I wouldn't say that much. I would not say that much. I would not say I can get a whole week's worth of food for $12.
mindset, it is cheaper. You
Yeah.
go to a fast food restaurant, they have like a dollar menu. I think they've
Yeah.
even increased the dollar menu now. So, which is
$2
crazy. It's like a $2 menu. So that's valid, I think, but I think it's killing us in the long term. Like, it's like that short dopamine effect, the dopamine where you're like, oh, I just need something right now.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue.
I also did want to, just touch on, other than like food costs, like there's also privilege when it comes to like having time to cook stuff.
Definitely,
Like if you work a
100%.
full-time energy, like I enjoy.
I would not use that excuse that you have kids, because if you have kids, you should be trying to feed them healthy. Because if you understand where you're at, you guys are eating fast foods, and this is another thing too. You gotta understand that your body is like it's like a car, and your car is gonna run the best when you put good fuel into it. When you eat fast food, you feel sluggish, you feel like shit because you have high glucose spikes, and then they fucking crash like after you eat it, right? When you eat actual food, you feel energized, you're more full, you just feel better. And obviously it comes down to how much you're actually eating, back to that calorie surplus and deficit kind of thing.
Privilege when it comes to like your mental health. When you are depressed, when you're struggling to even like get through the day, it can be really hard to have that motivation to eat well, to move your body and stuff. So for then when people are like, oh, well, why aren't you working out? It's like, dude, I can barely even get out of bed. So like,
Yeah.
please stop with that.
I just wanted to say that I didn't step forward because I have PCOS and I just recently got diagnosed with it. So with PCOS, it's so much more difficult for me to lose the weight and control what I want my physique to look like. It's just so much harder. It's not impossible, but it is.
We can fix it.
It's something
and we
that
can
can
fix
be
it.
fixed.
PCOS, we can fix
Sorry
it.
to cut y'all off, but Bree, I just wanted to hear from you.
The question, like, your body is in your control, I just think it is not 100% in your control. To say it's like black and white, you can change it or you can't, is just crazy. It's just so nuanced. I really appreciated you bringing up the food access that you have, the knowledge access, your socioeconomic status. I go to the gym,
I would say, yes, there's a lack of knowledge. There's a massive lack of knowledge when it comes to what is healthy, what is not.
I have taken a weight loss drug. Will the agreeers please step forward?
I guess everybody's perfect.
I will say this. I think, right, and I won't say I know, I'll say I think that weight loss drugs such as Ozempic should be placed in the same category as steroids. It doesn't just cut out your fat, it cuts out your muscles, it also does a bunch of shit to your organs and thyroid and shit like that.
I'm like trying to see like what do we define as drugs?
Just now.
I think we're talking about the
Like
weight-
Ozempic?
Pills
Yeah,
or...
wait. Well, any
Like diet pills?
drug that you take.
Yeah, wait, I'll...
Sorry. But yeah, come on in. Let's hear your story too.
I have used weight loss drugs before I knew the power of them in college and that you could get them over the counter, but they were incredibly strong. Probably needed to be controlled at that time, but I was just so obsessed with my body size. I've pretty much my whole life, and that's just the culture, American culture that I was raised in and lived in, and so I would try drastic means, and I've done things that would just get you super wired. Even as an adult, once I figured out how to eat, I gained the weight back during the lockdown, like a lot of people did. And I go, gosh darn it, I was so upset. And I took a prescription weight loss drug.
Speaking of lockdown, COVID was 5 years ago. COVID was 5 years ago. Chat, think of that. 5 years ago. Think of the person you were 5 years ago. Think of how much you've changed from COVID. And then try and think of this. Imagine if COVID never happened. Like, imagine if COVID just never happened and all the shit you're doing before COVID just went about its way. See two of y'all in the chat right now, man. What was how much different would you be if COVID didn't happen? Cause I'll be real. For me, it'd be really different.
Drug that was prescribed by a doctor, and I was able to drop the weight quickly. I used it as a biohack. I used it short term just to get the weight off, because once the weight is off, now it's on you. You have to know how to eat.
So this is more recently.
Yep, and this is absolutely recent.
Was
too.
it like Ozempic, something like that?
Phentermine. You can get it prescribed. It's a controlled substance. It's hardcore, but it takes the thought process out of your mind. That thing, that monster that always tells you you're gonna get your next serotonin kick by that food, and you're hyper-focused on eating, and it takes that monster, it stops talking. So now I can make changes in my lifestyle in order to make healthier decisions to keep the weight off that I just lost with this drug, and yeah.
I was so desperate to lose weight. I was like on TikTok scrolling through, and like they were sharing like, oh, this drug does this and this and that, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and just blindly buy this thing, and showed up at a horrible time.
Do you know what kind of drug it was?
It was a pill that I took, and it like suppressed my want to eat food. But it also like had some really bad side effects. Like when I would eat, I would feel sick after, and I realized like, oh, I'm feeling horrible all the time and having this energy low and like just feeling physically sick.
How long were you on it?
I was on it for 2 months maybe.
Did you lose weight?
I lost some weight, but as soon as I got off of it, I gained all of that weight back.
Yeah.
You
have to know what to do once you're there.
Exactly.
What are you gonna do?
Exactly. It was like the crutch, and like you just relied on it so much, and then once it was gone, you had to do your own thing, and
you have to figure it out.
you had to figure it out, and the pill was doing all that for you, and then for me, I gained more weight than I lost when I was on it.
Let's bring in our disagreeers.
So I'm gonna be
Fit women are more attractive than fat women.
Like plus size women, only because me having this body, it shows that I can commit to something, right? And it shows that I'm hardworking, so I feel like men looking at my body can see, oh, okay, she's dedicated. She put in the work, and that could be an attractive quality
But I'll also
that
say
men see.
this too. I've seen girls who have, this makes me sound like an ass, but I've seen girls who have an attractive per se body or a fit body who've never worked out a day in their life. I've also seen girls who have a fat body and work out every day in their life. So I'm not saying that having a fit body or a fat body will lead more in towards somebody thinking or saying that you are dedicated or more hardworking or whatever. But innately, even if it ain't true, that's what people will think. But like I said, I have seen girls who are fit who have never worked out a day in their life. And to be honest, I don't really think personally, and this is honestly because I worked out too. Because I work out, I know how hard it is to obtain a body you want. Personally, I don't give a fuck if you're a girl and you're super fit. Like, having a little fat on you ain't a bad thing, and not having any fat at all and not having any muscle at all ain't a bad thing either. For me, it is more personality, and face looks, for me, matter. I'm not gonna lie. You're fucking lying. You watching the stream, or watching this video, depending on if I post it or not, you watching this stream, you cannot sit here and tell me that a face card does not matter for a person. You will not date somebody if they're flat out ugly. And there are ugly people in this world, which sucks.
Flamed alive right now. It's all good.
I'm bisexual, so I
Hey,
love
girl, me
women.
too.
I love women.
Yes, all the bisexuals.
I think that all women are beautiful. I've had relationship with women that are fit, that are not fit, variety. And I can tell you that personality-wise, the skinniest ones and the most beautiful ones have had a personality that I cannot work with. Me, personally, me. So,
Yeah.
Up here. My grandma, she used to be a very petite, tiny woman, grew up in the Philippines. My grandpa the same way. Now they're a little bigger, they're more comfortable. 50 years later, still in love.
Yeah.
My grandpa always makes jokes. Like when I remember growing up, he was like, "This is Burger King and this is McDonald's. I'm the king and I'm loving it." And I'm like, that's my grandpa. He showed me like you can appreciate a woman through all the changes, you know, like
Exactly.
And that's why I love I could be once I get skinny.
I think people like to be like, oh, it's always going to be the fit woman is more attractive than the plus size woman. I just don't think that's true. Like, there's a lot of beautiful fit women. There's
Right.
also a lot of not very beautiful ones.
Right.
You
Yes.
know what I mean?
I did some modeling as a kid and as a teenager, and even now as an adult, I did pinup. There's definitely like a high expectation and standard, especially like in runway modeling and things like that, because they push out these clothing and they only do it in certain sizes. There's standards that different companies have that they want to push out certain things. So like for pinups, they want you to look a certain way, they want you to do your makeup a certain way, they want you to dress a certain way for that style. And same thing for like Victoria's Secret, they want to promote lingerie, and there's a standard for each company and they have to live up to that standard based on what they're trying to promote.
And personally for me, I always looked up to thin people. I always found them very beautiful. I was like, I want to be able to look like a Victoria's Secret model one day. It's okay to have a higher standard of beauty because it makes you want like, oh, I want to work harder on myself to achieve that type of body goal. I might not look exactly like them, like with the hips and everything, but I want to be able to look a healthy version of myself that looks something like that.
I think it's okay for models to have a higher standard of beauty because we are attracted to attractive things. A model is selling something. They're being hired to sell something, and they're going to make it, hey, look at this. Look at the dress I'm wearing. And you as a consumer, you don't want to look at somebody that is going to go, ugh, I don't even want to look at that person. What were they selling? I don't know.
Let's bring in our disagreeers.
Yeah, that's
More
true.
disagreeers than I expected.
I completely disagree. I think we all forgot what modeling industry has done for women in our society. I think we kind of went blank for a second. I'm a journalism major. I have my degree in journalism, and growing up with certain magazines, and those women, just because they were thin does not mean they were healthy. Have y'all ever seen America's Next Top Model?
Yes.
There's a lot of detrimental things that were happening within that society, within that community. And I agree with you, yes, we all want to look at something aesthetically pleasing, but that varies. Also, the modeling industry is known for not being diverse.
Right.
Hello? So I don't know, we just like blacked out for a
It's
second.
very diverse now.
Now.
It was not when I started.
Yeah, but
was
it's
not.
not that diverse now either. It's evolved.
I would say the stuff I see on Instagram and just from gym brands itself, there was a time, and I'll even say the specific gym brand, Gymshark. I'm calling y'all out because I don't fuck with Gymshark. I used to fuck heavy with Gymshark. If you're a gym brand, or you're trying to promote your stuff to a certain group of people, you should be sticking to that. I don't think if you're a gym company and you're promoting your stuff to be healthy, I don't think you should be having oversized models, because I don't think that's the ideal societal thing of healthy. Yet again, Gymshark makes a lot of fucking money. They make a lot of fucking money. And I know they did differ away from that. They're back kind of... And I will say this, every bodybuilding gym brand has their different thing, right? Young LA is more on the bodybuilding side of things, right? They're more so like, oh, we're going to make cool-ass clothing. We're going to make stuff for people who are really into the gym. And I think you do need to have those gym brands where it's for bigger models or bigger people, because obviously when everybody gets into the gym, you're not gonna look like Kim K, or you're not gonna look like a fucking C-bum when you get in, right? Like when I got into the gym, I was the fucking scrawny ass kid. So obviously that shit that's made just specifically for bodybuilders ain't gonna make me look the best. So you have to have those brands where when you start out, it's tailored to people who are trying to get to where that is. But it's hard to say. I don't think anything's right. I don't think there's a right way to do it. But when it comes to gym brands and promoting health, I think there's there's a line to be crossed.
Further to go. The average size of the woman in the United States is a size 16. So why are we not seeing that reflected more on runways and modeling and stuff? I also have issues with it when it comes to a lot of plus size modeling too, because a lot of plus size models, they have the curves, but they have no belly. And that's so unrealistic for most plus size women, where it's like, most plus size women, if you are a size 20 like I am, you're gonna have a stomach. And
most of those photos have been photoshopped.
Yeah, or they even put padding on smaller models to make them look bigger.
The standards keep changing. How many models do they need to show all the different body types that for this to sell one dress?
Sounds like there's a tension between the market. If the data...
I will say that. There is stuff that changes a lot. For example, this doesn't even have to do really with body, but having like very thin eyebrows in the 2010s was like a trend. And then it was like really thick shit in like 2016. Now I don't really even know where it is. It's like kind of in the middle, right? As long as they look nice. I think thin is kind of making a comeback. I don't really even know. On the body side of things, having big boobs back in the 2010s was a big thing. And then all of a sudden, in 2016, it was having a big ass. Now, I feel like it's just kind of like wishy-washy in the middle. I mean, it's probably more tailored ass, I think. I don't really know. I don't think it really matters that much, but all power to you.
Data says more people click on this body, even if it's unrealistic.
Yes.
Put that body in the ad.
Yes.
But what you're saying is that's unfair representation of the true customer.
Yeah, exactly. Because then I'll buy something that I saw on a plus size model who has a flat stomach, and then I put it on, and I'm like, oh, I hate this because it's clinging to all the wrong parts. I just want to see something that it doesn't have to look exactly like me.
I think for a long time people thought that diversity in sizes wasn't marketable. I can't make money from showing all this diversity of sizes, but I think that there are new brands coming like Savage X Fenty with Rihanna. She has proven that you can have diverse bodies and you can still market and sell. And let's be real, most consumers are not the models. They look different.
Women should be fit enough to protect themselves. Will the agreeers step forward?
This is something that I always say. Listen, no shame to people that are thinner, but I just think you're so vulnerable when you're thin. Like if you're petite and you're frail and you're not strong enough to fight back, I don't think that's safe for you. I'm a proponent of like building muscle. That way you're sturdy. That way if someone tries to come up on me, they're going to feel something.
I think
That's why me as a guy, I'll get a little bit into my personal story. I was a skinny ass kid, weighed 115 when I started working out. Like before I started working out. And I have a sister and a mother. And I got into working out mainly because I was called skinny, right? That was the main reason at the time. Eventually, when I did start to work out a little bit more, it was also to be bigger so I can protect my mother and my sister and any woman I'm with in life, because I want to be a protector and a provider, and that's a little bit of a weird thing to say nowadays. Well, I don't know why it is, but it is. And I need to be protective of whoever I'm with, even if that's just with my boys. You know what I mean? So I think as a guy, and I will say this time and time again, I think you need to lift as a guy. You need to have some sort of exercise, some sort of workout, or you need to be somewhat protective. I think if you're just some frail ass dude, and no hate TL, it is what it is. If you like to be like that, you like to be like that. I think you should be somewhat a little bit bigger. As a dude, at least. For women, of course, I think you should be there to protect yourself. I don't think you need no man. You know, you do you. But as a guy, you know, you're not gonna have other people there to protect you. I'm not saying as a girl you're gonna have other people to protect you as well. Not saying that's always the case. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I went off on a little tangent there, but
shouldn't have to.
Yes.
Like it sucks that we're in a society that we do, but we have to.
Yes.
You're prone to danger at any moment. Know some punches, know some locks. I don't know, but yeah, definitely stay prepared.
Yeah, as someone who trains kickboxing, boxing, and Muay Thai, at our facility, like we do offer like women's self-defense classes, and like no matter like what body size you are, I highly recommend every single woman to take at least one class just so you know the basics and just like for your own protection.
Well, I got attacked by a dog once when I was on a walk. Alec came out of this house and it came after me, and I was with a group of friends. Of course, it comes up to the big one. Don't get me wrong, but it was scary. I couldn't run away from that problem, but my friends were able to, and that came to my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not good at cardio. I know what I need to improve more on. You need to be able to carry yourself, pull yourself up, or like you know, run.
Even for your kids, you know, an emergency, your kid is swallowing something and it got stuck, or you know, everything around you needs your full potential energy. So yeah, definitely everybody work on their own pace and just make sure that you work on things that are going to help you and stay safe because it's dangerous.
Not to be an easy target.
Aside from dogs, which, has anyone ever been in a situation where they've had to defend themselves?
I can talk about it because it doesn't hurt anymore, but when I was young, I did get molested, and it's fine, I'm over it. I know it wasn't my fault. See, I work with my brain a lot, so for me, I was laying down, and it was more of a like situation where I couldn't move because of what everything was that was happening around me, and my thoughts were just like, I need to find a way to survive. I need to find a way to push this person from me, and I was 13, so it was like, you know what? Pray. Because there was a cousin sleeping next to me, and I was like, please have her move so I can move. And she did. And as soon as she moved, I found the way to just push him. Like I found the courage to push him off. It came from, I don't know where, but it came. And whatever happened after that. So it is a situation where as women, we are subject to not just men, but to a lot of people, and where we need to find a way to protect ourselves, and not just us, as we're growing older. Like, we should be showing our children how to and who not to trust instead of judging them, instead of expecting from them. You should be teaching them to find their way and what works for them, to find a courage to save themselves from whatever is going to be a struggle for them in the future.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for sharing that story.
I have abused my body. Will the agreeers step forward?
All right, chat. That's basically the end of that video. Basically, just going to talk about their stories, personal stories. That gets really heavy for me. I can't hear personal stories without, like, feeling like a fuck. Yeah, as long as you're making yourself the best version you can be.
Call me when she get a chance, cause I got so much to say and I appreciate you, ma'am.